Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Luke, and in today's video I want to show you something like this. Now this was user requested in our tickets. This is from DJI's website. Now the main section I want to focus on is right here. You'll see this picture scaling in. Now it pins, and then the text and an overlay at the bottom here comes into effect. So nothing too crazy, but yeah, let's dive right into the video. So once again guys, I will be using Bricks Builder to create this animation today. So I'm just going to click here, add new page, and I'm going to call this DJI, publish, and edit with bricks. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just set up two sections so I have some room to scroll, just so that we can see the animation in action. So I'm just going to create a section here, and I'm just going to edit this on the ID just to make it quicker. I'm going to make it 70 viewport height, and the container, I'll just put this to 100% height as well. It takes up the whole room. I'll duplicate this. So these are going to be our buffer zones, right? And then in the middle, we'll focus on our main animation. So I'm going to set up a new section. And I'm just going to give this a class so that it's easier to target in Motion.page. I'm just going to call this DJI main section. So what I want to do is use this main container inside as our main element that we will scale. So this will contain our background image as well. So I'll give this a class as well, container. So if we imagine when we scroll down, we want this container to be 100% width and height as well. So I'll do that from the get-go. So the way I'm going to do this, the way I'm thinking about it is I'm thinking about the end result first. And then in Motion.page, we can just simply edit the initial state of it. So I hope that makes sense, but you'll see what I mean when we go to Motion.page. So for this container, I'm going to set the initial values to be 100 viewport width. Now there is some padding there because on my theme styles, you can see my section has some padding here. So just to overwrite that, I'm going to go here to my class layout, and I'm just going to set these to 0. Okay, I'll also do the same for the padding as well, just so that it spans the whole section. And now on our container, what I'm going to do is I'll do the same for height as well. So viewport height. So now you can see it's going to take up the whole room. So let's go ahead and add our image. I'll add it as a background image, and I'm just going to copy the URL from DJI's website. So for this, I'll just copy the image link just so that I can reference it in bricks. So there's the image in our container. That's perfect. And I think that's pretty much it for now. So I'm just going to save this, and let's head over to Motion.page to start animations. So let's create a new timeline here. Now this timeline, I'm going to do our pinned element. So this will be the section. So let's just rename this first of all. Pinned section. Let's target our new page. This is going to be a scroll trigger. Lock to scroll bar, and 1 second is good. All right, so first let's go ahead and pin the section. Now remember, the section has this class here. So I'll just copy this. Pinned element needs to be checked. Pin selector, paste in our class. And now let's just change these values here. So when the top of this section reaches the top of the page, which is 0%. And then when the top of this section scrolls up, let's say minus 200%. We want it to be pinned. So you can see I'm still scrolling, and there we go. So that's pinning nicely. And while that's pinned, what we can do now is animate the actual container. So once again, I'm just going to grab this class here, and let's go down to our animation section. I'm going to target our container, and what I want to do is so once again, this view here is our finished state. So this is good. So I don't need to do anything on 2 this time, but we do want to animate it from a scale, and let's do 0.7. So now you can see it scales quite nicely. Now that is a little bit slow for me, so I might just change this value to minus 100. So it's just going to be the height of itself. So as I come down, it scales like that. Now the only issue with this is we want it to start scaling up when it reaches around here, and unfortunately that's not possible because we are using this timeline here with the pinned element. It's only going to start animating once the section reaches the top, so that is a limitation. So what we can do, instead of animating the image here on this timeline, we can just remove this. I'll save timeline. Now we're just going to use this timeline here as the pinned section only. So now what we can do is create a new timeline, and we'll call this DJI image scale. Once again, we'll use the same values just to keep things consistent. Now I don't need to pin anything here, but what I can do is come down here, target once again our container. We'll do 0.7 once again. So now, because we are separating the timelines, we have much more control over when this is going to animate. So this actually looks perfect. So start viewport, it's around, 25% at the bottom. So now it's starting to animate much earlier, which is much more desirable. All right, so that looks good so far. Now, next what I want to do, just save the timeline here. Now back in Bricks Builder, we need to add a title and an overlay. So I'm going to add those under the section here. So let's just add our heading, and I'll add a block which we'll use as our overlay. All right, so our section, first of all, we need to set this to be relative because the overlay needs to be set to position absolute. I'm just going to copy this class here and then overlay. I'll give this a new class and I'll call this DJI overlay. I'm going to set this to position absolute. Okay, and I'm just going to set all of these values to be 0. So it spans across the whole thing. So I've just gone ahead and added a gradient, an overlay already. So I'll just show you the values. So on my class DJI overlay, I've set this to be overlay, and the colors basically is transparent, and I've done a color stop of 30%, and then I'm just using a dark color here at the bottom, and it's important to make sure that this blends in with your next section's background color just so it looks much better. Okay, so that's how I've set up this overlay element. The heading I could put inside the container, and the container I'll just style it so it looks a little bit better. I'll just center align everything there. And I will also give some padding to my container as well. So padding, just use a variable here, L at the top. I'm going to go here and grab their title. So in this case, it's Japanese text. It's because I'm based in Japan. So I'm just going to copy this. We'll use the same. And I'll just give this a max width of 750 pixels, and then just make sure it is centered like that. Okay, so now we have our text element and we have an overlay element as well. I'll save this. So back in Motion.page, I'll just refresh this page. So now, as you can see, we have our elements. Now, to think about this logically, we want our image to first scale up, and then once the image, the section is pinned, only after that we want to animate those elements. So what we could do is we could go back to our pinned section animation and run the animations in here. First, I'm going to target our overlay. So copy this class here. Okay, so I don't want to scale it. What I want to do is I want it to start with an opacity of 0. And I also want to translate it on the y-axis about 20%. And then 2, we want to bring it to 1 opacity, translate 0. So now you'll notice we don't have an overlay until the section is pinned. Now it is pinned, the overlay is going to come in and scale, or not scale, but translate up. Okay, so quite a nice effect there. And then if we check the original animation here, so everything scales up, text comes in with a translate as well. Okay, so let's go back here. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and this time I'm just going to target our text element. I'm just going to use the ID for now just to make this a little bit quicker. Okay, so we should get the same animation like that. So I've just moved these nodes forward a little bit because once it's pinned, And once the image is scaling up, then we want it to animate like so. All right, so just after a little bit of tweaking with my nodes, it looks like this. This is our text element. So I'll just put this here and put this here just so it's easier visualization. So the way it looks now, our image is scaling in. Our text comes in and then our overlay. I'll just extend the overlay a little bit. Okay, save timeline. Just going to reopen my scaling. Might want to make this a little bit quicker. So to make this quicker, what we can do is simply change the value of our trigger points. So ends when the top, and I'm going to put the top to about 50% just so it scales a little bit quicker. Maybe that's a little bit too quick. Let's try 30. So looking at this website, we can see that it pins there and it does go to 100%. So I'm going to just set this to be 0 actually, because it always scales uniformly from top to bottom. So that is a little bit better. Okay, so save timeline. I'll just show you what this looks like on the front. So we scroll down, the image is scaling up. We get our text, which is unfortunately behind our header. I could just add some more padding to that, then our overlay, and then scroll down. Okay, so I've just altered the padding a little bit, refresh. There's our text and overlay, and continue scrolling. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much once again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. And I will see you again in the next video. Thank you.